Officer Chambers from STARS Bravo team. Please identify yourself. Is someone there?
This is Dr. Marcus. Please be silent as we reflect upon our company motto. Obedience breeds discipline. Discipline breeds unity. Unity breeds power.
Now this is more like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lord Aaron here of the Aaron Gaming Network, and welcome back to the celebration of Resident Evil with Resident Evil 0 Hard Mode. In this episode, I tackle the final boss. I only do part 1 of the final boss, though I don't beat the game this episode. That'll be next episode. I'm going to discuss some of the hardships that went on here. First of all, these two zombies coming up here are very easy to avoid, but one did grab me one time, putting Billy in bad health, so I did have to restart a couple times, but overall, I found that they were easy to pass. So I try to save as much ammo as I can for the final boss, but that zombie was just too close, and I just don't see a feasible way for me to bypass it. I'm sure there's a way, but at this point I was just exhausted. And this is a failed attempt. I'm showing you guys, like I did in the last episode, a failed attempt at beating this godforsaken game. So make sure Billy has the card from the last episode, and you should get in, and the final boss area is up ahead. And also make sure you grab the magnum bullets to your right towards the end of this long corridor or hallway, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And we should be all good here. And there's the magnum ammo and cutscene coming up. So I'm gonna shut up.
Welcome, young ones. So glad you have joined the party. You are the guests of honor. After all, it's your wake.
Who are you? Dr. Marcus?
No, you can't be. What's going on?
10 years ago, Spencer had me assassinated.
Oh, time to die, Doctor.
I will take over your research.
Wesker, Birkin. However, something wondrous happened. It took the T-virus inside of my queen years to procreate my new life.
I live. Now I will have my revenge on Umbrella, and the world will burn in an inferno of hate.
You'll pay for what you've done.
We'll see which one of us is gonna die.
And there's the first half of the final boss. This was a failed attempt. Now the strategy that I looked up involves you controlling both characters at the same time, which is a bitch within itself thanks to the tank controls and terrible camera angles this game presents. But the goal is to get Billy away from Rebecca so that the Queen Leech won't go after him. The Queen Leech is programmed to go after her character within its sight. But sometimes if Rebecca gets too far away, it will attack Billy. And this is where I made my mistake here. I went this way, and note that I already died about 5 times at this point, and I was really disoriented and upset. And I left Billy behind by accident. He got caught on a wall, and then the Queen Leech came over, and then I'm trying to move, and it's really fast. But I don't really hate that this boss is hard. It is the final boss, so of course a challenge, like, I'm not gonna bitch about the challenge of this fight because it is the final boss. I mean, it's not supposed to be a bitch. So I tried to reinstate the strategy here, even though Rebecca got bit or molested by the tentacle monster, Japan, but it just didn't go well. Now so far I thought I was okay, but I'm making all kinds of mistakes. The Leech Queen is going the wrong direction. It's supposed to be going the other direction around the corridor. And I'm just showing this to show you guys, like, I'm not bullshitting. This has been quite a struggle for me. So hit that like button. Subscribe, please. And so far, I was actually feeling in good spirits here. Even though the Leech Queen is going the wrong direction for this strategy, I thought, okay, I got some healing. I know the next area has a lot of items for you, even on hard mode. So I wasn't too worried about it. I'm like, okay, it's a little different, but... And then the camera angle got me there, and then I panicked and went this way, and this was my mistake. I went over to where Billy is, and at this point I think I had pretty much given up. And I was trying to think of what to do, and then it grabbed Billy. And I just gave up at this point. Like, it's over. Now this jump cut here, sorry about the editing, this jump cut here is my actual successful attempt. But I wanted to show that one failure. This is the 6th attempt. Now the strategy is to get Rebecca and Billy to separate so that the Queen Leech only pays attention to Rebecca. It's a very good strategy actually. And it really makes this battle intense, which I loved. Almost sent Billy to his death. So I send him off, and I just push the analog stick until he's up against the wall. And now it's basically Rebecca and the Queen Leech playing a very scary game of Ring Around the Shitty Game. And the strategy, now this is a long and boring fight. This fight took about 12 minutes. So basically I'm using the handgun, and I collected all that handgun ammo during my playthrough for a reason. Even though using one of the weakest weapons in the game against the final boss on hard mode and Resident Evil sounds a terrible idea, it's not. And Rebecca missed 2 shots there, but I have more than enough ammo. Sometimes she doesn't lock on to the enemy like you would like her to, so she will shoot in the wrong direction and shoot at the incinerator there. So basically the strategy is to play Ring Around the Rosie and get behind this wall and shoot the Queen Leech as many times as you feel comfortable, and you'll be able to gauge, because the Queen Leech is insanely fast and it will catch you if you dick around. Like, it has a very ridiculous hitbox ratio, and it can grab you very quick and end you. Like I said, this was my 6th attempt. This thing killed me by grabbing Rebecca, grabbing Billy, and sometimes it would just randomly go over to Billy even though he was not anywhere near it. So there's an element of luck involved with this strategy, but on hard mode I think this is the best strategy because you need your powerful weapons for the even more difficult second phase of this fight, which will be in the next episode. So basically this is the fight. It's pretty boring, but I'm gonna admit that I was actually, for the first time playing this train wreck of a game, I was actually scared. Like, it's an intense fight and exactly what I was hoping for. Like, this is the only highlight of this playthrough so far, was this fight. It's extremely intense. And as you see, that tentacle attack, that slap, the bitch smack attack, is very deadly. And it's very easy to F this up. It may take several attempts for those of you who tried this strategy. And sometimes I was a bitch and I didn't shoot because I didn't want to risk Rebecca getting hit. She is not Billy. She cannot tank hits very well. And it doesn't take much for her to die on hard mode. One shot. Only take one shot there. If you take 2, you will get hit. Now here just depends on if the Queen Leech staggers or not. The Queen Leech staggers, I normally take about 3 hits. I think I got brave a few times and took 4 shots there. But make sure that you count your ammo or just use the combine feature. The last thing you want is Rebecca slow ass reloading a weapon when you've got a 10-foot tall slimy Japanese tentacle monster trying to anally rape you. And sometimes these camera angles screwed me over, but overall I was pretty pleased with this fight. It's actually pretty intense, and this really shows Rebecca as a badass, even though in the Resident Evil remake and the original she was kind of a bitch. You would never know that she fought the Leech Queen, a tyrant, hunters, zombies. So it, at that point she had more combat experience than Jill and Chris. So Rebecca's a badass, and Billy's just over there chilling, making himself a little, latte with light foam, watching Rebecca fight this thing, and he's just like standing over there like doo 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 doo. So it staggered there, so I took an additional shot. The handgun does shit damage. It takes about 130 bullets to kill the Queen Leech, I think, maybe more. So you definitely don't want to miss too much. And standing behind that wall is a good strategy, because if you stand to the side of it, the Queen Leech will most likely grab you and make you hate yourself. To come this far and lose to this thing multiple times was quite discouraging for me. But beating this on hard mode will certainly be one of the biggest highlights of my gaming life. Even if I get a shit rank, which I probably will, I don't care. I'm very happy. that I was able to take this game that I've played on this channel a lot and actually beat it on hard mode. So it's staggered there, so I took an additional shot, and this is the fight. There's not really much more to say about the fight, so I'll talk about something else here. The Resident Evil 2 demo is out, but apparently, the remake, I mean, obviously, it's like timed, so you only have like 30 minutes before the game like deletes itself or something. I'm not quite sure how it works, but the game is due out in about 2 weeks, so I got a lot of Resident Evil to play, and this game has slowed down the celebration of Resident Evil. It hasn't ruined it, because I already knew I hate this game, I still do, but I was supposed to be eons ahead of where I am right now. But this game has tested my patience to the limit, and I had to take long breaks, and and of course, since I'm not live streaming this, very few people even watch it, so it all just kind of felt pointless. But I said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to continue to do it, and because I love this series. Even though this game is a blight, I love Resident Evil, and I'm so happy that Capcom has got the stick out their ass and they're listening to their fans, and the Resident Evil 2 remake is the first big release of the year, and of course we got Kingdom Hearts 3 for 2019. So this is looking good so far. I mean, we're going to have shit games, sure, but we got some major titles coming out, and I want to get them on here. And like I said, with this strategy with the Leech Queen, it's very easy to mess it up. I'm making this look easy, but the hardest part is to get Billy away from the Queen Leech, and to get it to loop like this, you have to keep Rebecca kind of close to it and make sure that you don't stray off the path. And I got a little greedy there and tried to get a 4th shot in, and then regretted it, and then I got slapped in the leg. Fortunately, it didn't do a lot of damage, and I was checking here to make sure that she wasn't in danger, and she was fine. I didn't catch if I had reloaded my gun, so it's staggered there. And I'm sure the Queen Leech is pretty annoyed that we are just equivalent of shooting a BB gun at it. I mean, for the final boss, you use magnums, you use, acid rounds, but there is a much more difficult fight than this one coming up that I'm not looking forward to. So this fight is cake once you get it under your control. The hardest part is getting it under your control, but once you have this fight under your control, breathe, take it easy if you use this strategy. I mean, I'm sure there's better strategies than this. I'm sure of it. There's probably much easier ways to do this, but I did not want to use a guide. But I did remember a guide that I saw a little while ago. I remembered them using this strategy, and I was like, you know what, this sounds good, because on hard mode, we're going to need all the help we can get. Now we're on the second phase of the fight. The tentacles are coming out of the back now. And the strategy does not change at this point. The only difference is the Queen Leech has a few new attacks, and I think it maybe moves a little faster, but the strategy doesn't really change, and I'm not sure about that moving faster thing. And there were a couple of times in this fight where I thought I had lost. I thought it went after Billy a couple times, because sometimes the Queen Leech will not show up, because it'll start moving slow, because the AI is trying to track you, and I almost got grabbed there. I really did a stupid thing there, tried to shoot it again. Remember guys, I had fought this thing for over an hour and died after, and so I just wanted it to end. And of course Rebecca didn't turn around to aim at the Queen Leech and shot at the wall. I'm pretty sure I called her a dumb bitch at this point, but I've never liked Rebecca, so I don't care. And this may not be the funnest fight to watch, but I was sweating bullets. This was intense. I mean, every time that thing tentacles came out or it did anything like that, my heart jumped. It was actually a really exciting fight, and the only praise that I will bestow upon this game. But we're about halfway there, but you have to be patient too. If you're not a person with a lot of patience or good hand-eye coordination, this strategy may not be for you, because you need a lot of patience. And I'm doing a voiceover now. I did not commentate while I played the game, because there's no way I would have been able to concentrate and do this strategy. So I am doing the voiceover just like last time. And I kind of like this style for certain games, but I won't be doing it for all. It just depends on my comfort level, and I'm very uncomfortable with Resident Evil 0. Almost got molested there. What is it with the Japanese and tentacles? Now at this point I thought the Queen Leech was going after Billy, and I was probably going to rage quit and say fuck this shit, but it didn't do that. So I was going to go for a 4th shot, but I thought better. Sorry about the microphone, my ear is itching me. But we're about a quarter of the way done, but there's still a lot of fight left. And kudos to the people who came up with this strategy. I wish I could give them credit, but I don't remember their names. But there's some diehard, like Carcinogen, my favorite YouTuber of all time. He has some insane strategies. I was going to use his video as a guide, but he's too advanced. I can't keep up with him. It's staggered there, so I took 3 shots. I mean, the music, this fight is actually pretty intense. I know I'm repeating myself here, but there's not really much to talk about. I mean, we're going around in circles. This is the kind of stuff I have to do when I want to beat a game, and sometimes I got nervous and I would just run. I just didn't want Rebecca to take any more damage because the next part of this fight is a bitch. But there's a lot of healing and I have a lot of item management to do. I haven't beat the game yet. I decided to upload this first to the 2 people who will watch it, and then I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to be able to live stream, and then Resident Evil 1 Remake is next. Hard mode Chris, hard mode Jill. I should have an easier time with that game, hopefully. I'm going to try to get that done quickly, and then after that it'll be I'll probably toy around with Invisible Enemy or something like that, just for shits and giggles. And at this point, I know I was yelling, "Die, bitch," you know. But again, I am using one of the weakest weapons in the game against the final boss, so it's gonna take a while. But I still stand by the strategy, even though it's not the funnest in the world to watch. I mean, if you really want an intense fight in this game, play this with this strategy with the handgun, because you're always on the run. You always have something to do. You have to really gauge what's going on, but it can be very discouraging when you are like 10 minutes into this fight and then some bullshit happens, or you get caught on a corner, or a camera angle changes and your character accidentally walks into the embrace of the Queen Leech. It's enough to make you just never want to play this again, and I will not once I do Leech Hunter and Wesker mode, which will be live streamed. Because that's the only way anybody in the world will watch it, and even then there's a chance. That's the problem with having a small YouTube channel, but I'm not here to rant about that. I wish you guys could have seen my face though. I was sweating bullets here, and I squeezed my controller so tight I thought I was going to break it. Like, this was really intense and exciting. We're going to be playing Resident Evil Code Veronica. Was supposed to be on hard mode, but I have never beat it, and apparently you have to unlock hard mode, so that will be played normally. I am sorry about that, but I'm sure I probably wouldn't be able to beat it on hard, because I've only played that game once, and that was eons ago, and I don't remember dick about it. So ring around the shithole. I took a gamble there and I almost got wrecked. Like I said, Billy's over there with his Frappuccino. He's probably put some sunglasses on. He's just chilling like a villain over there. And the villain, I want to talk about the villain of this game, Dr. Marcus. It was revealed that the gay-looking Sephiroth bitch nugget in the white robe is Dr. Marcus when he was younger. He is one of the worst villains. I mean, like, the Queen Leech is fun and all, but he is one of the worst villains in Resident Evil history. It is debated whether or not it's actually Dr. Marcus. The Queen Leech might have just took the form of Dr. Marcus, but he's dead. But he's just a whiny, you know, Umbrella killed me and I want revenge. that's fine, but that line that he delivered in that cutscene leading up to this fight, and the world will burn, wahaha. Like, he sounds like an emo twat. I hate the world, nah. My mommy didn't hug me enough, nah. I mean, when you have Albert Wesker, Krauser, Osmond Sadler, Alex Wesker, when you have such great villains, even though they are cliche, but they were cool in their own unique way. And there we go. I beat it. But the villain of this game is pretty shitty. And we finally got it. I almost orgasmed when I saw that cutscene. And in fact, I took a little break here, and because I was trying to organize my items, and I took about a 10-minute break, which was actually risky because if there had been a power outage or my PS4 did something or the game crashed, I would have lost my progress. But I took like a 10-minute break, and the edit cut is coming up here, but I finally got past this damn thing. I never got this far on hard mode, but we still have one incredible challenge ahead of us, and it's probably going to take me several attempts. It took me 6 to beat this thing, so I think I was looking around for any items, and I was just so surprised that I beat this thing. I might have been a little disoriented. And those 2 items there are what we need to get to the next area. And I was nervous because I didn't want to accidentally trigger a scene. I could not remember what happened here. So I was nervous. I'm like, oh god, what happens here? Do I get to save? But anyway, I jump cut here. I took about a 10-minute break. And then organized their items so I could get both Rebecca and Billy to have key cards. They each have to have one of those electronic keys. Not key cards, electronic keys. So at that point, I just took a 10-minute break. So it's going to edit cut right here. Alright, there we are. I had organized their items, and I healed Rebecca with the 2 herbs I got from earlier, because there's plenty of healing in this next room here, and I'm definitely taking it all, because I'm sure the Queen Leech is going to slap me around.
I'll check it out.
You can beat this game without taking damage, but it's pretty tricky. I grabbed control of Rebecca there and made sure that they were both standing at those buttons. And I decided to split this fight up because this episode ended up being 29 minutes long, especially because I kept that death in there, so I don't like these to be too long. So just make sure they're both standing there, and boom, and we get to enter the final rest area. And I'm so glad this rest area is here. You get to save, because Capcom could have been real dicks and made you do that fight and then the final boss fight. So I appreciated this save room so fucking much. So I save here, and I show me saving to prove that I am on hard mode. I'm not bullshitting you guys. If I was playing on easy, it would be in blue. If I was playing on normal, it'd be white. But when you're playing on hard, the text on the save screen is red. Look it up if you don't believe me. Like, I wanted to prove that I was doing this. Like, I'm not playing around here. This was an intense struggle, and it's not over yet. And then I show the goodies, because I'm going to have all these items organized by the time I start the next episode. So I just wanted to show the goodies. So there's the red print. Drop that, and then I'll probably save again once I get my items squared away. There's no more. Look at all these goodies. Look at all that healing and ammo. It's not as much as you would get on other difficulties, but it's certainly going to help against the final boss. Anyway, guys, the final episode is next. This is a celebration of Resident Evil, and hopefully I can get this game out of my life soon. Godspeed. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and leave in the comments your feelings about Resident Evil 2 Remake. Godspeed.